and welcome back to my channel. So I've decided to film this random night while my boyfriend has gone out, and terrible lighting because it is dark and all my animals are in bed. Well, Flo's in bed, the rest are nocturnal or crepuscular. But today I'm going to be talking about my dream animals. So we're going to split it into 3.5 sections. We're going to go through lizards, snakes, amphibians, and I'm going to touch upon some invertebrates in the end. So I will give my reasoning why I like them, show you some photos, and why I may or may not have them. Well, why I do not have them so far. So let's get into it. I forgot to add that we are joined by my newcomer Willow. And I just wanted to also add that each category will have 5, so 5 lizards, 5 amphibians, 5 snakes, and they will be going in order of how much I would love one from 5 to 1. So let's begin. So number 5 of my lizards category is a tokay gecko. So the tokay gecko is what I believe to be one of the most stunning species of any reptile, to be honest. I saw one in a pet shop years ago and I fell in love. The reason I don't have one and I don't see myself getting one for a while is I don't have the confidence to work with such a potentially defensive animal. I don't have the experience with tokays, but I would love to get it. We have recently got a tokay at the rescue I work at, and I'm sure that will boost me towards getting one. But they are stunning, and with the space and experience and money, I am sure at some point I will own one of these beautiful creatures. So coming in at number 4 on the list is an African fat-tailed gecko. These are honestly one of the cutest species ever. So the reason I haven't had one is I've never seen one in the rescue I work at, which is my main source of, adoptions. And I've never seen one at a pet shop at a time that I could, get one. I've never had a tank available really, and if I did, I would snatch one up in a heartbeat if I could get it ethically. I've never actually met one in person, so I would obviously need to do more research than just, oh, it's like a leopard gecko, but I absolutely adore them, and I will definitely have one at some point in the future. I don't know how far it will be, but I will have one because they are just adorable. They are just little beans. So yeah, I will have one. So this next one I have briefly touched on my Instagram about it possibly being in the pipeline. I mean, no plans, but definitely one that I can realistically get at some point. And that is the gargoyle gecko. So gargoyle geckos, I have had plenty of opportunities where they have come into the rescue, or I have even inquired at ethical pet stores. And it's just been at a time when I didn't have the money, I didn't have, the funds for the tank. It's just been, right place, wrong time. And I met some baby ones just today, and this is probably my most realistic of any of these on the list today. I'm sure I will be getting one, not fairly soon, but maybe Animal after next. But I would love one. I would say I'm still more of a crusty person, but I would still love a garg as well. They are just, they have so much personality, no brain cells, just like a crusty. Coming in at number 2 on the lizard list is a Leachianus gecko, or a lychee. So this one has similar reasoning as to why I don't have one yet as the tokay, but I do have a lot more hands-on experience with lychees. It's just, I believe they have a pretty nasty bite, and they're not always the friendliest of fellows as well. So if I, landed a friendly one, perfect. And of course I would be happy to have a sort of project to tame, but I, need the confidence to do that. And they are the biggest gecko in the world, obviously, and just stunning. And I absolutely will have one at some point, but the other major factor is they are expensive. And I mean expensive, at least for a gecko. So yeah, someday. And now, number 1 on the lizard list, actually the only non-gecko, is a panther chameleon. So I would love any chameleon, but a panther chameleon is the one. So unless there are any surprise adoptions before, a panther chameleon will be my next animal I'm adding to my family. So it is upcoming plan, if you will. I just adore them. I have a lot of experience with chameleons of multiple different species. And I would like a male for, you know, selfish color reasons, but they're just, I love their little feet. I just love chameleons. When people ask me my favorite reptile, if I don't say snakes, I absolutely say chameleons. So yeah, you will see me with a chameleon hopefully in the next couple of months, which is a very exciting prospect. Now going on to the snake category. So right now I'm not allowed snakes, and I've tried for years and I don't think I will be allowed them till I move out. So any snake is my dream snake at the moment. But with that said, I've tried to compile 5, and the 5th one, so the first one we're talking about, is kind of vague, but that is going to be some sort of dwarf boa. So this was slightly hard to find images for, because I don't know exactly what I want. I just know that I love boas and their temperament. I just know that I keep saying about confidence. I am confident with reptiles. I just need to know that I can confidently handle a species before I get it, you know, on my own with no one else in the room. So I do have a size limit with snakes, at least for now. When I have not owned a snake of my own, you know, in my house, I always have someone there when I'm handling, even if I'm unattended, you know, to a certain degree. But yeah, I would love any smaller boa species, and hopefully I will get one at some point. It is obviously 5 on my list, not my priority, but I would love one. And so that last one is sort of transcending into the next one, 4th place, which is a Brazilian rainbow boa. And one of the most stunning snakes, it is a Brazilian rainbow boa, obviously. The thing that attracts a lot of people is clearly just the shimmering rainbows that they are named for. But the part that really attracts me is the bright, bright oranges. Like, I love a pretty much red rainbow boa. That is the part that I adore. And I have never actually met a Brazilian. I have met we believe she was a Peruvian, possibly a Colombian. She wasn't the friendliest, so I much prefer the sort of rings and stuff on the Brazilian. And yeah, I love a boa, as you can tell so far. I doubt that they will be one of my first snakes, but I would love one. I just realised that the first 3 on this list are all boas, but leading on to number 3, it is a Kenyan sand boa. Now for a snake that I possibly will get as one of my first few, it's a Kenyan sand boa. So I do have hands-on experience with Kenyan sand boas, and they are just sausages with eyes. Their faces are so derpy, and I love the colours. You know, the Paradox one on screen at the minute is amazing, and we're just about to go on to this Aneri, however you say it. Love them. I just love how they feel. They are just amazing. They are just, you know, massive brutes in a teeny tiny package. And I absolutely love that, and I just wish we would see them more if they weren't buried. It's not a boa this time. Okay, so 2nd place is probably one you're not expecting, because it's not, you know, a very rare exotic breed. Not that the previous ones really have been. It's one of the most common snakes in the hobby, and it is a ball python, or a royal python. I have a feeling that when I get my first snake, it will probably be a ball python, and I just love them. They're just puppies, so yeah. So yeah, this one might surprise people a little, but I can't get enough of royals. I'm so interested in the morphs, but I don't care about morphs when I'd be actually getting one. It would be all about who I, you know, connect with. But if I, like, literally, even royals that look the exact same, I will go around the rescue each morning and hold every single one of them. And like, I just love a chunky snake, but that doesn't get, you know, massive. It is, you know, a size thing with me at first. Housing them as well, you can house them pretty comfortably, and they're just amazing. And yes, they have their issues with eating sometimes, some people say, but I think that is actually more of a husbandry issue. See, I adore them. And the number 1 snake I want, it is one of my favourite reptile species ever, and it is a hognose. Specifically a western hognose, but I don't have that much knowledge and experience on the different kinds, so a hognose. Where do I start? Oh my goodness, I adore hognoses. Actually, the only snake I've ever been bitten by But oh my goodness, I love the oh gosh, I forgot the term for the scales. Is it keeled scales? I'm so bad. I need a script. But the morphs and their little nose, of course, and they are just amazing. And it's so funny when they're spicy because they're just so cute. And yeah, this is my absolute dream, my dream reptile. And oh my goodness, I'm just looking at the photos as they're coming up. Look at that lavender one. I'm just getting carried away. I love a hognose. That is my point. And now we're on to the amphibian section. So my first ever exotic pet was actually an amphibian. It is my Pac-Man frog, Spud, or one of my Pac-Man frogs. And yeah, frogs are my favourite animals. I've always had a soft spot for amphibians. I do want to focus more on reptiles in my keeping journey, but I'm always going to love amphibians. So first off, we have northern glass frogs. So this is one where I'm not amazingly clued up on the different types of glass frogs. I just know that they are so cool. Look where you can see through their skin, and they just look like Kermit. There's a meme that's floating around occasionally, you know, how these guys look like Kermit, and it's so true. They are just gorgeous. I clearly need to do a lot more research before I ever think about getting them. And I don't imagine, or I don't believe they are that hardy, so definitely not something I would be considering yet, but they're just so visually stunning and just so unique, you know, with the transparency, and they look really derpy as well. Like, look at those eyes. They are very gorgeous and very cool. And now in fourth place, the only other arboreal amphibian on the list, I'm trying to make sure that's right, is Amazon milk frogs. So I fell in love with this frog species quite a while ago now, and I don't know why, because I have white tree frogs, and these are just those guys in a different font to me. And I wouldn't say they're cooler because I adore white tree frogs, but there's just something about them. And again, I don't have the best knowledge of them. This is just sort of, I like this frog and putting it on the list, not, you know, I've scrolled for hours and hours and hours and hours searching about this frog, which I would do before I buy any animal. But yeah, these are just adorable, honestly. And if, you know, someday I was like, I want some frogs, man, then yeah, I don't even know what I'm saying. They're cute frogs, okay? And now actually the only non-frog amphibian on the list, it is a tiger salamander in third place. So like the glass frogs, I'm not too clued up on the different types of tiger salamanders, but I used to adore axolotls. I still do, but they used to be my favorite animal. I was desperate for one. Then I realized that filtration and everything is a pain in the butt. So then these are the same thing out of water. Well, that's not true. Morphed axolotls are, but you get what I'm saying on a very basic level. And they are so derpy, and I've just fallen in love with them from every time I've seen another content creator or YouTuber or whatever. Any I've seen online just seems so derpy. I've seen them burrow away for a long period of time, but besides that, I adore them. In second place, narrowly missing out on first place, it has to be a chubby frog. Realize I've kind of moved away from saying why I do or don't have an animal, but anyway, these are just potatoes. That is the only way I can describe them to people who don't know about them. Obviously, I'm not one for calling animal obesity cute, but in this case, they're just meant to be rounding. It's pretty funny. So yeah, they are just hilarious, and I imagine that they are just like a fun alternative to a Pac-Man frog almost. I mean, I have I have met some and worked with them, so I do have a little bit of experience. I just haven't found any available. And in first place, it is something I've actually considered keeping in the past, and then the opportunity just hasn't come up, but it is dart frogs. One of the things I cannot wait to do when I get dart frogs is set up an amazing, well, for my standards, bioactive tank. And my favorite species I believe I have found yet of dart frogs is Bumblebee, which I believe is going to pop up in a second. But yeah, they're just gorgeous, and the tank possibilities are endless, and they just seem so fun to keep and just watch. And yeah, it's like a mini jungle in your room. I mean, all reptiles are really, but dart frogs particularly, in my mind, it's like keeping a rainforest in your room, you know? You know what I'm trying to say? I don't know. I love dart frogs. And we are done with our main categories. So I hope you enjoyed, and before we wrap up, I just wanted to touch on invertebrates. So I couldn't think of specific enough examples to make another category out of it, but I do want to touch upon 3 invertebrate topics that I would like to own, if that makes any sense. So firstly, it is a millipede. I would love to own a millipede. I have heavily considered it in the past, kind of recently. It doesn't feel like the right time for me, but not that there is a right time to own a millipede, you know, but I'm sure I will at some point. I don't know what kind, which is why I haven't made a proper list out of these. And then next, this is very vague, but just a tarantula. My favourite, I believe, is a pumpkin patch tarantula, but I haven't done enough research to be able to go out and get one. I did meet a gorgeous Brazilian black tarantula today who's made me really think about getting a tarantula, but it's kind of like snakes. I doubt I'll be allowed one until I move out. And then first, it is a jumping spider. I would adore a jumping spider, and again, like the millipede, I'm sure I will get one. Probably a regal jumping spider, but figure that out when we get there. And yeah, they're just adorable. So that concludes the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope maybe you even discovered a species you hadn't heard of before. Not that I've really chosen any, you know, rare and exotic, well, some of them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and maybe it's given you some food for thought if you were thinking of any of these animals. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!